if you decimate the trust in democratic processes and let people, fight against each other about the outcome of election, that is one of the most sure way to decimate people's trust in democratic institutions.
So in this clip, we see Audrey talking about how Taiwan and the Taiwan and the citizens of Taiwan are working together to improve and maintain the belief in their voting system. We're specifically talking about the credibility of democratic voting. And so what they did is they made sure that all voting is done with paper ballots. Okay. I'm not quite sure whether they're doing mail-in ballots with that or not, but I think they could be, because I believe what she is referring to is how they're monitoring the counting of those ballots. And so the citizens asked all three major parties who are really possibilities in this voting system. They asked them to set up their own independent cameras where the votes are being counted. And then if any complaints came out about the voting process, they asked all three parties to submit their videos of that counting process at that location. And what ended up happening was they got the leaders of all of those parties to say, we've looked at all the videos, and they confirm that there were no problems with the counting of the votes. We all agree that it was legitimate and properly conducted. And again, that's being done to maintain the integrity of voting in the democratic process.
Actually, regardless of which party they support, there's no such rigging going on. And all the three party leaders came out and said, yeah, there's no such rigging going on. So again, by anticipating what attack is going on and letting people know that these attacks are coming, it inoculates their minds against such polarization.
And what this does when this happens a couple of times is it inoculates the citizens who are voting from getting caught up in the propaganda and the lies, right? In V Taiwan, they call it pre-bunking. And you're going to see an example of that in just a minute. They debunk these ideas ahead of time by putting in a system and a strategy and tactics that show that the voting system is working. And so the citizens are inoculated. They know that some of this bad shit's going on, and they don't even pay attention to it. Or if they do, as we're going to show you, they have a place to go and find out whether what's being said is true or has any validity.
If you were digital minister for the United States today, what one or two strategies would you deploy right now?
Yeah, so again, one of the sure things is pre-bunking, and the other thing is like rapid response to the trending rumors.
Audrey's talking about pre-bunking, which we touched on, and she's going to share an application. So that pre-bunking is either giving people a place where they can find out whether what's being said is true or how valid it is, but also that at the same time inoculates people, because once they start believing that you can get factual truth, then they begin to filter things from a standpoint of, I know there's a bunch of bullshit out there that's flying around that's not true, that's distracting people, and that's hurting our democracy, right? But I'm inoculated from that because I know there's a place I can go find the truth, and I can now kind of recognize how these propagandists and liars function and what they're trying to do to hurt democracy.
In Taiwan, we have a collaborative fact-checking network built by the civil society called CoFacts. And anyone can just long press any rumor that they receive and report that into a shared dashboard. And so we can very easily see what are trending right now, what kind of rumors and mis and disinformation are trending.
And so here with this application called CoFacts, what Taiwan has done is they've kind of combined or they've piggybacked from the debunking where you can find out what's not true. They have CoFacts in which the system, I believe, if I understand it correctly, the system is allowing the citizens to participate in putting in information, sharing some of the stuff that's out there, and they put it into CoFacts, and CoFacts has an AI that is already set up to cast a wide web of all of the, or a lot of the shit that's out there. They bring it in, they focus on what's true and what's not true, and what are the trends in society. So not only does CoFacts give a way for people to help contribute to making sure that the truth is known, okay, CoFacts also tracks and helps manage the propaganda and lies that are getting the most traction. And it helps evaluate that, probably has the ability to determine where some of those sources are. And all of a sudden now, with CoFacts and debunking, you're really they've built this infrastructure that provides the citizens with ways not to just get the truth, but to participate in making sure that the truth is known. And they're using AI to do that, to really filter it and get to those truths much more quickly and efficiently. Pretty amazing, isn't it?
And now the CoFacts community works with language models with AI, so that AI is able then to compare a incoming trending rumor with all the debunk and pre-bunk rumors before, and offer this kind of first take that can then inform the citizenry.
Here, Audrey explains exactly what I was just talking about, how the two systems work together and how they use AI as an efficient and accurate and unbiased way to get to the root of those things for the citizens.
This kind of debunk bot is also available in the US. So I would advise that people try it out at debunkbot.com.
Debunkbot.com.
Imagine in the United States, I mean, especially in the United States, because we are currently subject to perhaps the most corrupt and insidious propaganda, misinformation, and lies in the history of our country, which is currently coming from the GOP and the far-right Christian leaders of that party who have taken control. All right, that's where we are. And here, Taiwan is telling you, here's the debunk bot that is available to anyone in the world. So right now, we as a nation of pro-democracy citizens, we could unite online democratically, right? Imagine if we had 1 million US citizens who began using the debunk bot and posting those results and showing why they trust it and what the accompanying evidence is. It would it would be a system where even the citizens who don't agree with the answers, they could actually come in and participate. And if they don't participate, that's up to them, because the citizens of the United States who are committed to making sure that there's a place to go where the citizens are ensuring that truth and accuracy and fact is the foundation of our democracy, we don't have to wait for other people to give us permission to do that, right? We are free, democratic, and self-determinate citizens in the United States of America. And what Audrey is doing, and Taiwan and Taiwan are doing, is they're literally showing us how this is already being done from an online citizen-led democratic movement that began in Taiwan 11 years ago, or in 2014, 12 years ago now, and has been steadily improving to get to this point. And the transition for Taiwan, they went from a 9% approval rating of their government to where now they got up to 70%. I believe that may have dropped a bit, and there were some other areas that it's gone up into the 90s. But they actually have a functional government that has a way to deal with propaganda and lies and misinformation that is led by the citizens. The citizens are the ones who made this happen because they united online to put all of this in place during the Sunflower Movement back in 2014. And don't we all want a more truthful, factual, honest way of getting information that we can depend on? And aren't we all looking for ways that we can do something to help make a difference? At IOD Nations, what we're telling you is it's right here, it's right now. If we unite online in the United States as the online democratic US citizens, right? If we do that, if enough of us do that, we start championing and imposing truthful, factual, online citizen-led democracy in our country. But if all we're going to do is complain about what the problems are and not participate in those problems, we're not going to be effective. And this is why at IOD Nations we say, you can achieve all of your goals and objectives on saving or salvaging parts of our existing broken democracy, but also on building the next new bold democracy for the United States and all across the world. And you can do it at the tap of a screen or the click of a mouse. And you go to one location and you unite and collaborate and start working together, and we will achieve more than you've ever imagined. And that is how IOD Nations recommends and urges that we unite online as pro-democracy citizens and build the next great democracies. Thanks for listening. So imagine you're the citizens of Iran and the citizens of the United States of America, okay? And let's take what Taiwan is doing on a national level, and now let's turn it towards international, which is where all the big conflicts happen, right? The big conflicts that are going on in the world right now and the big issues, a lot of them are between different nations. And imagine if the citizens of Iran and the citizens of the United States had the ability to use debunk.com and to learn in real time and to know what is actually happening between the two countries, right? What political negotiations are really happening? What is the best known status of their militaries, right? What are they actually disagreeing on? And are there ways to come together that aren't happening because of bad leadership, right? And because of bad intentions. And so now what you've done is you've turned the online democratic citizens and their citizen leadership of their online democratic nations, you've turned them into international powers. And they're international powers that operate democratically, and they operate in a world that is much more geared towards free flowing truth and information, right? And so then those citizens can put pressure on their own governments, and the other pro-democracy citizens of the world can unite behind those different groups and unite behind the truth and the facts of what's going on. And they can impose their will upon this conflict in ways that were never possible before. And it can all be primarily led by the pro-democracy citizens. How big a change is that in our world, right? It's unfathomable the amount of power and influence that then places into the hearts and minds and hands of the pro-democracy citizens of the world. And on the same in the same moment, it's unimaginable of how much power and influence that strips from the bad actors of the world. You literally have a new way for the citizens to protect and defend and try to prevent war. I mean, imagine the International Online Democratic Veterans Nation, right? An online democratic veterans nation that's committed to trying to do everything possible to prevent war. Because it doesn't matter what country it is, veterans always get screwed, right? And they get to reach out and cast their net, cast their web to all these other pro-freedom and democracy countries and to the citizens of those specific nations that are involved in this conflict or this potentially coming conflict. And they get to utilize their power and influence as well to determine what direction things are going. And then imagine, because they're all united online and they all have created their own online democratic economy, they now get to influence and impose their will in favor of peace by leveraging their economy and their dollars and who they want to do business with. It just changes the dynamics of everything, doesn't it?